First, I'd like to begin by congratulating Alan and Rich on creating an institution that has lasted this long and been this successful. I've been part of the institution for 29 years. It quite literally made my academic career possible, and I'll always be grateful. I thought, though, I would talk about half a dozen challenges that the institution faces, beginning with name recognition. Even after 29 years, I find I have to explain to people in the US and especially internationally what ISP is. If we could just make it better known, it would be great. And I hope that it's being assimilated into SCI will help with that. The second thing is it's always been a creature of one school in a university. And it has worked well despite that problem, but there are problems that arise. For example, the faculty come from multiple schools. And if you want to encourage a faculty person to be a director of the program, how can one school give teaching reductions for another school? That kind of thing needs to be worked out. And also, making it easy for students in other schools to know what courses are available, to register for them, to fit them into their schedules. There are nuts and bolts problems that we encounter. ISP has had wonderful graduate students over the years, but they've faced some challenges. Primarily, or the first one is that the ISP program is distributed geographically across the campus. There are pockets of faculty and graduate students, some of which are quite far from one another. We try to address that with regular ISP forums, but it's an imperfect solution. The pockets, of course, are very rich. I come from LRDC, which has been the grounds of great interdisciplinary connections with faculty and students. But even, especially recently, I'm finding that there are new techniques in text analytics and machine learning as applied to texts and data that are being developed sort of in parallel in the pockets, and I'm not sure that the pockets are communicating with one another, that the students are being supported across the pockets, that there are funding ventures that are bridging people across the pockets. It's a concern. Another issue is that ISP traditionally, at least, has not been able to offer teaching assistantships. And TAs can be very helpful both to provide funding in a pinch, and there are lots of pinches, to graduate students, but it's also professionally and intellectually an important activity that they haven't experienced teaching. And I'm hopeful that maybe now in SCI we'll be able to offer more teaching assistantships. Funding for graduate students has always been an issue. The faculty have been remarkably successful in obtaining grant funding for the students over the years, but in general, an ISP student can expect only 1 or 2 years guaranteed funding, and yet our competitor graduate programs in the same area can offer 4 and 5 years guaranteed funding. If there is one thing that I could change for the benefit of ISP, it would be that. Also, we have attracted many highly talented international graduate students, something that we're very proud of, but they need to deal with many challenges, and those challenges, I think, are increasing. They need to deal not only with cultural differences, but an increasingly hostile US immigration environment, and it's stressful. And we need to provide greater security and repose for our students so that they can engage in good research and think good thoughts. And I think the university and ISP in particular have to think hard about that. But none of these challenges is unsolvable, and I think that perhaps we can benefit from this 30th celebration to discuss how we might solve them, and your ideas on that would be very welcome.